fallen off of those. But yeah, I think hopefully at some point I'm able to um, shift back over to if I'm able to free up some more time for trading, yeah, I'll probably be back to doing 0DTE index options as well. So I'll probably be posting more on those. Yeah, I'm not as good as John, but decent enough. So I'll be able to help there for anyone who needs it. Okay, yeah, give me a second here. I'm just gonna check that YouTube is actually working today. Because last time it was not decent enough, so be able to. Okay, sweet. YouTube is working. Okay, bet. Um, okay. Yeah, so we can start going through um so Fletch, yeah, Fletch, thanks for fixing the YouTube stuff. Seems to be working. I just checked the link. Um, let me send this out to everyone else. All right. Yeah, appreciate that, Fletch. All right, let's get started. We can do all the Joule setups. Let me see. When did he start sending these? Was this today? 9:40. Okay, here we go. Okay, can everyone see this well? Or do I need to zoom in at all? Okay. Yeah, so we can start with ASTS. Let me see here. Yeah, because I know Jules sometimes sends maps into his channel. They don't always go out towards everyone, so I usually like to go over them in these sessions just so everyone is well aware of just some of the other ideas posted by him. Um, okay, so let me see here. Yeah, so I think he has this on a couple. Sorry, let me get a. He has this on a couple different time frames, it seems. Is this a case study? Oh, sorry, this is a trade review. My bad, my bad, my bad. Okay, ignore everything I just showed. Okay, so Micron. This is now actually one of his ideas. Yeah, so Micron is pretty good wedge here, pretty good flag. Um, knowing Joule, he's probably just gonna wait for this upper trend line break. I guess also if we break this one, 95-ish level. But he'll probably either play the bounce off 190 or just play the pure chart trendline break. And he'll probably be looking for 200, either for us to hit this wick or hit that 200 peak node by Friday. So this one looks quite good if we do hold 190. Um, you know, break and retest of this upper trend line. Okay, so that was Micron. He also has Oracle. Oh, what just happened? Oracle here. Yeah, so I'll say the Oracle map looks very good going into next week. So, um, yeah, if any of you look at this setup and you like it, but you maybe just want to be a bit on the safe side, I would probably just see if you can grab 315 for next week might be expensive, but that'd probably be the safest play because this could be a potential ceiling. But even if you're grabbing 320-ish for next week, it should be quite good. So I think what Jules looking for here is another bounce off of this 300 node that's showing pretty good volume on Gex and Vex for this week and next week. So it should be a very strong level there. So he's looking for a bounce there and a push. Oh, these are both gex. Apologies. Okay, there we go. Yeah, but you still have a bit of volume here at 300, so he's probably looking for a bounce here at this floor, and for us to push up towards this 320 node by Friday. Again, I think the majority of his setups were pretty bullish, so this is assuming we're not getting any major downturn in the market. Okay, uh, NBIS. Let's take a look here. So yeah, NBIS actually looks pretty bearish. Let me see if there's any. Yeah. So what I think Jules probably looking for here is we got this sort of trend line break. I don't know if he's gonna try to play the retest of this trend line break or if he's gonna wait for this 120 level to crack. But either way, if we play the trend line retest and play the crack and play down to this 120 wick, that should already be quite a solid move. That's $5-6 over the next 2 days. Is still a sizable move. And if we're able to lose this level at 120, where we do have a couple bottom wicks, if we crack that level, yeah, they should have pretty good downside down to like 115-ish this wick over here from October 7 or 8. Okay, so that's NBIS. So it does seem, sorry, one second. Yeah, it does seem he has pretty good variety on watch list between upside and downside, which is just a generic comment. A generic advice I can give is usually make sure that you're not purely positioned in one direction or the other. I've seen it, yeah, I mean, I've seen it, it's messed me up. I've seen it mess a lot of other people up. So, in case we ever get strong red days like last Friday or like today, even if you're positioned in a way where you're taking two call plays and one put play, it's just much better overall because you kind of protect yourself from any extreme drop days. Okay, so upstart looks like he's targeting this 47.5, 47 nodes, this clump of nodes down here. Um, Again, this is another upward wedge. We are sort of holding this 51-ish level. So he's either going to look for a break and retest of the trend line or just a rejection off the 51, I would imagine, and then play that downside down to 47 or 48. Okay, let me see. He has a few more here. So Google. One second. Okay. Yeah, so let me check Google Map. Sorry about that. Yep. So, yeah, actually, this Google Map looks quite strong. Like we're seeing a very strong floor on Gex. Vex also has a floor here at 250. And Vex is a super strong upside target. And Gex has a bit of volume there, but yeah, I think what you all need to remember is that the Gex nodes tend to shift a bit quicker. So sometimes when we bounce off these floors, the volume will shift up towards this 265 node much more rapidly than on Vex. So the fact that Vex has it there, even though Gex has it a bit weaker, doesn't concern me too much as long as we hold this 250 floor. Just yeah, we look like we broke trend line as long as we hold above sort of this wick over here at 250 point something, 0.4-ish. Google looks quite good for upside. Okay. Uh, Actually, let me just go ahead and open all of these. So we have Carvana, UNH, Ivigo, Rocket Lab. Now I can actually open the chat because I've been ignoring it. Yeah, so what's this guy's name? Yeah, trust your gut. I am. It'll be on YouTube. I messed up on Monday, but every session going forward should be posted to YouTube. Okay, Carvana looks like we're at a super strong support resistance flip level. So it was a resistance all the way back August 19. September it was many times a floor. It looks like it was a resistance a couple times now in October. Um, so it looks like what Jules aiming for here is just trying to judge what the reaction here is, whether we reject or push higher. Um, yeah, no problem. Focus on work, man. Yeah, you can just watch the recording. Just message any takers if you want me to go over anything specific. Okay. But yeah, he'll probably just be judging for the reaction here. I would expect, just based on the maps, I would probably be biased a bit upwards. So I'd probably just hope for a break and retest of this 360 level. Because I'm not seeing a super clear floor. I guess 350 has some chance of holding, but really if we crack above this 360, bounce off would probably be the best one there. Okay, United Health Group. Uh, Sorry, let me go back to Google. Do we gotta test 250, confirm it as a floor, and then we buy at the many calls? Um, that's a bit personal preference, Noah. So some people like to wait for full break and retest of the actual trend line. So like right now they'd say, okay, I'm gonna wait for a retest and then get in on that tap. Some people would have already been in trying to play just the immediate breakout. What I was mentioning on the 250 is that like this wick over here, these couple of wicks from October, late September, early October, I would like to see a break and hold above. And I think 250 was also a strong node on Gex. Yeah, so like we just want to make sure we establish 250 as a floor and not that price rejects from 250. Does that make sense, Noah? Oh, for close, that's a bit more subjective. I mean, if you're taking it for this week, you really only have 2 days left, so I'd probably be looking at 15-minute, maybe, perhaps hourly. But it is, if I say it stays over, yeah, so a lot of that will be based on candle reactions, right? So like if we do, even if we do dip below 250, if we have a candle like this one right here, where we're seeing a pretty strong lower wick, um, then we say, okay, like this is a pretty bullish reaction. So you probably hope to see some kind of reaction like that if we do retest. Um, Probably on the 1 hour candle, probably you would want to look for that. But it is pretty person by person. Like I know some people will give it a range. Like they'll say, oh, this 250 node, I'll give it $2 up and down. If we crack $2 under, I consider that broken under. So it is more of a personal preference thing. I usually just size pretty small, so I really don't care how deep we hunt under it. Because I've seen on some setups like I think it was Him's puts lately, possibly, where we hunted pretty far over before we rejected, or even like Hood puts yesterday, not today. We hunted like $1.50, $2 over, and then we flushed through. So it's one, you can either avoid some of the mental headache just by sizing a bit smaller. Um, but if you're looking for like, is it a close over? Is it not? It depends on the time frame of your play. So if you're playing weeklies, I'd probably be looking a bit shorter time frame, 15-minute or 1 hour. Um, but again, I don't want to speak for Jewel. I know he may do things a bit differently. So you may want to ping him about that, about what time frame is he looking at for a close? What does he like to see in sort of the candle reactions and some of those things? I don't want to I don't want to misspeak for him. Um, Hopefully that helped answer some of those questions, Shorty. No, I do know. Yeah, staying over. I know Jewel, myself, Glitch, John. I don't think any of us use moving averages. So that is one way you can sort of confirm that we're remaining bullish, but I don't think any of us personally use that. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'll move over to UNH unless Noah says something that's a follow up to that. Am I right at the money? Yeah, so I would say this is pretty dependent on portfolio size, of course, but generally, if we're targeting 265, I would never recommend buying 265 calls. So honestly, I would probably try to buy 257 or 260 calls. Something that we can expect is a bit closer to the money, so it'll move a bit healthier in terms of like it'll have a higher delta for the Greeks. And due to that, it'll move a lot healthier than most other contracts. So as a general as a general guideline, um, I would look for contracts that always have around a 30 value on the delta Greek value. And yeah, Kramer, this is all obviously. I would say most of these setups are based on either a flat index day or a pretty strong one. So that's a good idea. I probably should have checked Vex for we okay, so SPX looks slightly bullish up, biased upwards, but not. This SPY node is a bit weird, but it is similar to volume to 670. Okay, let me check QQQ. Say QQQ does seem to have downside. Yeah, so not too sure. Like I would say SPX, SPY did seem slightly upwards, and then QQQ downwards. So at least from current situation at the maps, which I mean I just glanced at them briefly. I think tomorrow may be neutral, or I'm just not able to get a good read on it currently. Uh, just because at least from the glance I took, I'd say ES seems to be pointing upwards and NQ seems to be pointing more downwards. So okay, yeah. So back to some of these setups from Jewel. Yeah. So for United Health Group, he's also playing another support resistance flip at this 360 level. Um, we have a bit of volume on Vex, but I'll say like it's not the strongest floor. This 352 down here is definitely a stronger floor that we bounced off of last week. Um, but this 360 level is quite strong. So I think what he's trying to play here is if we open around this 360, he'll probably just try to grab calls again at a 365-ish strike or lower. Um, okay, yeah, this United Health Group. Q Alejandro, how's it going, man? Let's take a look at AVGO. Okay, give me a second here. Yeah, so AVGO, another support resistance flip around this 347 node. The one thing I'll say here, this 347 node doesn't have a super strong ceiling or like level. I think what Jules trying to play here is this 350 bounce. So if we tag this 350 node or even this 345 node again, which I kind of doubt we will because we did earlier in the week, but if we tag either of these levels, 350 or 345, he's likely playing this 375 node for next week. So he'd be grabbing, I don't know the prices on these, but let's say, for example, 365 or 370 calls going into next week, and just giving it a bit of time for this node over here to take hold. Now let me Let me see when Avico has earnings. Okay, so yeah, this is also unimpacted by earnings. WC, how do I manage to play various setups? Set alerts. Yeah, so I'll be honest, like I actually take very few setups. I take like one or two each day. Um, and yeah, it's just like I just go through, set a bunch of alerts for like let's say 10 tickers roughly. Out of those 10, you usually only get alerts for like three, maybe on a good day, four or five, but typically you're looking at two or three alerts from TradingView. What would I do after that is I just go back to the maps, verify that the thesis I had originally is still there, and then I take an entry. Um, so it's a pretty hands-off method. Like, I mean, obviously, like I'm doing a lot of charting at night and setting alerts and all of that. But once I'm at work, I'm really just waiting for those TradingView alerts. And anytime I get one of those, I go ahead and open the chart, open the map, just verify my thesis is still valid, and then I take an entry. So, I mean, yeah, total time spent actually entering is just a few minutes. Um, and after that, I mean, you could just check it every couple hours, every 1 hour or 2 hours, depends on personal preference, or depends what job you have, if you're able to do it or not. What about checking indexes? Oh, so you're saying to verify like that indexes are in line with your play? Yeah, so there's two ways to do that or to think of it. One, you can either be tracking the indexes all day if you have the time. Um, the thing with the indexes is like the map you see at the beginning of the day is not always reflective of what actually happens throughout the rest of the day. So what I have started to do, like learned to do, is if I've already entered two call or put positions, um, if I go to enter a third position, I'll only enter one if it is a setup opposite to the two that I've already taken, right? So if I have two call positions, my third setup will be puts, right? Or if I have two put positions, my third setup will be calls. And by doing that, I'm sort of naturally, not naturally, I'm sort of forcing my port to be hedged, right? So then in the case we have a strong sell-off like Friday, like even today, the put play will obviously sort of make up for the losses on the call play, right? So if you just naturally hedge your port, like I'm not saying you have to buy SPY puts. I'm just saying find a good individual ticker play. Just have a few good put options, like plays that are for puts. And if you're already in two or three call positions, just don't take any more long positions and wait for one of those put setups to play out or to alert you. And if you do that, that'll generally it'll generally reduce your downside if we have any strong days, upside or downside. Now, the benefit to doing this as well is if the indexes trade that day flat, or if they trade slight green or slight red, there's actually many times you'll have both your put and call plays go green, right? So you can potentially just have full upside. And then if the indexes go very extreme one way or the other, you'll still be hedged and you'll end up either break even or you'll end up even possibly green, right? Um, yeah, Frank. I mean, I think it's something I sort of just like naturally started to do, but it makes complete sense once you think about it. Like you're just instinctively hedging your port at all times. But I don't think of it as a hedge because it's still a very valid weekly play, right? Like you're not changing anything about the setups you're looking for. All you're doing is if you're in two or three call plays already, you just say, I won't enter any other calls until I have another put position, until I enter a put position. So it's more just about how you're managing what trades you get into, but it's not like you're just taking SPY puts as a hedge, right? That's a bit different. Because usually a pure hedge position is a position you're intending will go to zero. My point is, if you're playing these setups well, like if you're finding solid setups for calls and puts, there will be many times your hedge position will still go green, even if the market continues to push upwards slightly. So that's sort of the comment I'm making there. Okay, but yeah, so anyways, back to Joule setups. Yeah, AVGO looks very bullish into next week. So if we do get some kind of retrace tomorrow, I'd be pretty interested. Um, it looks very solid setup to me. Okay, so Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab, we do have a bit of a 3-node setup. Like we have the 63, 70, and 80. Um, it looks so far like the 70 node has held pretty strong as a ceiling. But we have tested it a couple times, wicked pretty high above it towards 73. So I do think if we crack above a third time, this has decent potential to run higher towards this 80 node. Um, so yeah, either look for a break and retest, or even if we dip a bit, you can try to play calls there. Just, I guess the main comment here is just make sure we're getting the 70 level to act as a floor, right? Because if we dip too far and this 70 node becomes a ceiling, then we just may never see this 80 node by end of week. Okay, sorry, let me get some water. Okay, yep, let me go back up through the chat. I know some people had sent some tickers, so I can look through those. Okay, so a firm. Oh man, yeah, my eyes are killing me. Okay, yeah, so a firm. Let me see here. I think this is all from last week. Has a oh shoot, give me a second here. Okay. Okay, yeah, so a firm. We should have a pretty strong level around here. The 78. Yeah, so the 78 has good volume. We have good volume down here at 69 at this sweeps that we've had. And then, let me see, 69. The 75 node is interesting. Yeah, so that was a previous, okay. So yeah, this previous support at 75 looks like it flipped to a resistance. So I would say if we do manage to somehow tap down here on 70, or this even the 69 node, you can try playing a bounce there. Probably what would be a better play. That one, the only reason I hesitate a bit there is because we've tested that level three times already. So this 70 also has some potential of just cracking through. So I'd say probably the better play here is wait for a break and retest of the 75 dollar node, which corresponds with a good level on the chart. We still have good upside pull into 78, but I would say, or you could even play the rejection of 75, but I would definitely want to see these upside nodes shrink a bit and these downside grow if you want to try this 75 rejection. So definitely just mark out this 75 and just look at the reaction that we get there and just be checking the maps to see how that volume is shifting, whether it's upside or downside. Okay, so there's a firm, UPS. Let me take a look here. Okay, so based on GEX, this UPS map doesn't look too good, but let me see here. um, okay, I don't know what these lines are for. So we do have a bit of upside trend line here. So we do have a bit of a channel here. On UPS, let me see. Uh, so it looks like we bounced off 82 earlier in the week, which was sort of a double bottom with this wick over here. So we do have this level here that we tapped and pumped off of. So I would expect, I don't remember the earlier volumes in the week on this ticker, but as assuming this 82 and 80 node have shrank off of it and this 90 node has continued growing, I would think we push up a bit higher. Now, I don't think we'll hit this 90 node due to the strength of this 86 and this 88 node. So we have two potential ceilings before reaching that 90 node. And not even just based on the maps, right? Like we do have this strong level here where we double topped in the past around 87-ish. So like I do think if we continue pushing towards this 86, 87, 88 range, I can see a lot of resistance both on the chart and both on the maps for UPS. So I would probably want maybe a deeper retrace, but to me, I guess there's a lot of clutter still on these maps. Like there's many nodes still apparent, so I don't know that I would look at UPS as too much of like a setup. Uh, okay. Bell Crisp. Yeah, let me take a look at this one. Okay. So we have a bit of a trend line here on the upside. um, I suppose we have a downside trend line, but I'm probably not going to draw that one. And then we have pretty good level here-ish that we're sort of struggling to get over. Um, let me see here. We delivered from 80. Not really. We delivered from 64. Yeah, we did. Okay. Yeah, so for crisp, I would say I'm pretty biased upwards, just due to the fact this 65 node that is sort of pretty major on Gex and Vex towards downside. That is where we open on Tuesday, or at least in pre-market we tapped in Tuesday, and then we pumped pretty hard off of that. So if you're considering to play like the 73, 72 reject, I can see that as well. But it does look like this 65 node has tailed off a lot. So then if we're able to get this 72, 73 node break above, um, sort of push through those levels, I don't see why we wouldn't get this double top over here towards 78.40. Okay, that was crisp. Let's take a look at an Intel. So Intel is still sort of dealing with this 37 floor, I believe. Let me put this on hourly. Yeah, so Intel has been sort of dealing with the 73 level, sorry, 37 level for a while. Yeah, if we're able to hold a bit stronger above it, definitely I can see the upside case here. But the only thing I'll say there is we have had in the past a lot of consolidation in this area. And this 38 previous resistance could come into play again. But I guess another comment there is this 38 level has very little volume, almost none really. So, so yeah, like this may be a case where we push up towards a previous resistance, but it's been tapped so many times that we just fly through it and keep pushing towards that $40 strike. Okay, Baba, sorry for all the pauses. If I'm pausing too much, it's because I'm yawning. Um, hmm. Wow, Baba didn't do too much today. Yeah, so I think Baba, I had been waiting sort of for a 160 bounce, if I remember right. Um, but yes, whoever pointed these out is completely correct that we do have, on the VEX, we do have a lot of, nodes just slowly pushing, sort of grinding upwards, sitting around 180 or 200. I would, let me think here. Yeah, I do think like if you're taking further out plays, Baba looks quite bullish. Um, like this trend line break is very clean. It looks like we're retesting, or we did slightly. And we're seeing pretty good upside volume. But I would say I would likely buy myself time if I was trying this, just just because you know this same week expiration looks pretty cluttered. Okay, PDD. Um, I don't know if they always move this in sync or if it's just because they're both Chinese, but PDD also has a bit of a trend line here, like sort of flagging here. Um, and we also see pretty good upside. Okay. Yeah, so I think in this case, like long term, this looks like a pretty good hold. So you can try either if we switch. Oh yeah, this is a really strong level too. Yeah, wow. Okay. This is quite a nice setup. So yeah, if you're looking long term, or even if you're just looking for 2 weeks out, you want to look for this 128 level sort of to claim over or for this trend line to break out. And that should be a pretty good position on PDD. Shorty. Would you say it's important to have a strong purple and yellow? Yeah, so most of the setups I like shorty. It's not always one purple, one yellow. Like I've also seen it be just two purple. But the point is I want two nodes pretty isolated and with a pretty wide range. Um, because yeah, I think from my experience, when there is just only one node to the upside or downside, while it may come true, it's just hard to establish a good bounce spot, right? Whereas if you have the dual node setup, you have a clear entry point. If we hit either the top of the range or the bottom of the range. So that's sort of the reason I bias towards these dual node setups. Okay. So what else? PDD we looked at. If we get a break, retest, just a break there. Um, what's a good contract for Google? I think that depends on your port size, but overall, where's Google? Yeah, I don't know the pricing on Google contracts, but I would say you want to be looking, let's say, at 260. If our king node remains 265 the rest of the week, taking a 260 call would be probably pretty safe. Max. Okay, something ugly. Intuit. I think Intuit just had a really weird upside node. Again, I don't know if they're just gonna drop news and actually make that true somehow, but yeah, they have. Hmm. Yeah, because it looks like, at least currently, it looks like um yeah, we broke this trend line, are retesting, but for us to retest this trend line and then pump 50 points, um I doubt it. So yeah, I guess this is a good example of, not only because it's a single node, but because it's such an extreme node. When we have some of these nodes like this, sometimes they're true and sometimes they're not. So I think what I have been saying all week on this Intuit setup is just size appropriately. And for anyone who doesn't have a large report, just don't play it at all, right? Uh, okay, FFAI. Okay, so I guess first thing I'll say here, who asked about this? Blackhawk. Didn't you just join? I swear you were not. I swear I saw you as general member earlier. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously I don't have the maps for it, but let's see. Sort of like this. Um, so I would say, like, if FFAI, if you're looking to like load shares or leaps or some kind of that play, I'll probably just wait for the trend line break. Um, yeah, either we sweep this lower 130, or if we break out and retest of this trend line, or even if we break out this 160 on FFAI, but I don't have too many thoughts on it, I would say. The only recommendation there is, please play in the money calls or just play shares. Yeah, see. Oh man. Okay. Is this not, what the, whoops, put up CoreWeave. Um, this is Citigroup. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, to me, I would just never play this, just due to the setup alone. This 102 node did reject very well, actually. Okay, sorry. So for Citigroup, yeah, I guess what I was gonna say is probably the best play was this major tap of 102 and reject, but it looks like we already did that, just off rip today. And also with these earnings being recent, what I've seen sometimes with these maps is it takes them a while for some of this volume to start shifting upwards. So Citigroup I probably wouldn't touch just because the upside is limited, and then also this um, tap and reject of the peak node. Uh, Um, yeah, that's probably the safer play. It's just I'm a bit worried we already missed it, just due to the fact that it might have just happened or just today and not give a re-entry. Uh, Okay, yeah, Ravi, let me get over those quickly just because um, I don't have as long as I typically do for these. Yeah, so Galaxy, okay, yeah, so Galaxy's still been battling with this level here. Um, but if we're able to fight over that 42 or 42.5 barrier, let's say, um, obviously I would say it's probably more actually towards 40, like 42 flat than 42 and a half, but um, yeah, if we're able to break out of there, bounce off that level, I would, um, yeah, I would think if we can break past that 42, 43, then we can get a full push up towards 47-ish. Okay, Jimmy. Um, GameStop, I'm not sure what to say. I don't know if I've ever traded myself. Let me see. So yeah, I guess the one positive on GameStop is that we are at the bottom of the range. The main concern is we just got delivered from, everyone in the range. Um, so yeah, I mean, me personally, I'd probably stay out, but that's just because I'm pretty avoidant of meme tickers. I think JD is partially recovering. Okay, sorry. So yeah, JD sub like some pretty strong liquidity. But we do have a few roadblocks, I guess, on the way up. So um, yeah, just if you're in this play, just be prepared to scale as we approach each of those resistances. Okay, so that was JD, Uber. Yeah, so a couple things on Uber. One, um, yeah, I don't think that 105 node is gonna come true. I think this, if we do pump, this 100 node is gonna hold quite firm, I believe. Um, and if you're trying to play more downside, let's say we do have a bit of a support resistance flip here, sort of a 93, and it lines with a few of the lower than 92.5. Um, so that can potentially be a bounce spot if we retrace again. But yeah, I would have to see something pretty major on the volume delta on these nodes for me to say, okay, I think Uber is going to really push towards the 105 and the 81. Yeah, and we have next week. That's a good point, Kramer. That next week node may also give a bit of pull um, towards this setup. Okay, so that was Uber. Intuit already went over. Can we see something like CrowderNet? Uh, okay, sorry. So yeah, for CrowdStrike here, I'm sort of seeing we have a bit of a the top side's uglier, but we do have a downside trend line on CrowdStrike. Um, yep, CF Flyo, no worries. I guess the bullish thing I'm seeing here on CrowdStrike is that 490 node on GEX is holding extremely strong. We seem to have reacted pretty well on it. But yeah, I think especially what strengthens the argument here is we do have a ton of upside accumulation on VEX. Whereas, I mean, GEX has some, but they don't. Not quite as much as on VEX for upside on CrowdStrike. Okay, so what is this? Netflare or whatever it's called? Cloudflare? Cloudflare? Let me see here. Wow. Okay, so net has been consolidating forever. Sorry. Doing a bit of back and forth here on the charting. Yeah, actually, I like net. It's a really clean flag. Um, yeah, let me see here. Yeah, I would say we're definitely biased upwards. This 220 node is a bit odd. So I do want to chat with him, but this 227 looks completely reasonable. Just being a target, just a high target from the past. But overall, I think net is a pretty good setup. Like it's flagging very well on the chart. You can wait for a break or retest of either side. Yeah, play the retest, drink some waters, that'll be all right. TTD. Again, sorry if I'm sounding slow. It's because I'm exhausted. Okay, so we have a level here on TTD. That's sort of 55. Actually, that's our peak node. Yeah, so I'll say TTD like it has a pretty clean range from 54, 55 all the way down to 46. Or I guess even down to 50 on the GEX if you're just counting all these stack nodes. Um, yeah, I guess my issue here is I think it's a good play, but you're just gonna have to set alerts on either side and wait. It's not much. Um, yeah, so I would say TTD. We're kind of stuck in the middle. I'll probably just wait for one of the extremes to hit. And yeah, even if this 50 does end up being the floor, I'd just miss out. Like I don't think I'd feel comfortable taking that without doing my own. Yeah, I just don't think I'd be comfortable playing that 50 bounce. MP should be done. Like I think we already tapped 100 today and then rejected super strong. It looks like we even tapped 86 or just above it. We tapped 86.6. So we kind of already tapped both upside nodes. Um, and I'm wondering, for anyone that's been watching the MP map throughout the week, I would think this 80 volume is probably dying off for now. Um, But yeah, I'd be pretty interested in MP. Either we try to retap 100, or if we fall all the way through, retaps. Yeah, on some of these lower entries. Okay, hopefully that helps with MP. CJY. Yeah, Chewy. So I had looked at Chewy early in the week. Actually, I might have a position in Chewy, but I actually don't know if I like it like a ton. Let me see here. Yeah, so I think have a good night, Noah. I think on Chewy, the thesis here more was, yeah, we have a pretty good upper trend line, um, or just even if you put a level here around 39-ish, we seem to have a pretty good base for now. So then the thesis here was, we're seeing a lot of these nodes over the next couple weeks increase, right? Like 87, 84 to, or whoa, I think I just said those numbers completely wrong. But yeah, 40 or 42 going into next week for Chewy, and then $43 2 weeks out. So if you're buying a bit more time, I think Chewy does look pretty good. Now, will we bounce 38 to 40? It's possible. I just there's a few nodes in the way that make it like this 39 node from. Yeah, it's maybe a bit concerning if you're trying to target 40 upside all the way. Okay. Gold. Yeah, so gold, I had seen someone mention these downside nodes earlier. I would caution playing, puts for those, because I've seen sometimes they will hedge gold, or it looks like a hedge to me at least, because it's a very far outside the money downside position on gold, and I've seen that happen before, and expire basically worthless. So I would, I mean, the nodes are there clearly, but I would just be cautious to play it with much size. Okay, yeah, lift. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, lift is a good one. I have an alert here at 18. Yeah, so I think I was hoping if we hit the bottom of this range this week, I can grab an entry. Um, Again, lowest so far has been sort of like 19-ish. Okay. Yeah, so I think for lift, I mean, me personally, I'd probably wait for a bit of a deeper drop. Yeah, so I'd probably, I guess, yeah, the bounce off 19 would have worked last week. I would like at least the bounce off 19. Obviously, optimal case is 18, but before taking long position on lift, looking for this 23 node 2 weeks out. Oh, you're looking at macro. Let me pull this up. Yeah, to me the macro looks pretty strong. Um, so honestly, this looks pretty simple actually. It looks like we're holding this level here, so previous support, resistance, resistance, and now we're trying to see if we can break and retest with the actual stock itself. Yeah, so I like Lyft long term as well. Uh, broke huge range. Yeah, right. Like we broke above this whatever 19-ish level, broke above retesting, and then likely we'll see a pretty good continuation. Yeah, Frank. Yeah, gold I think is pretty tricky to play, but Chamber of X. How many positions? Maximum, honestly, probably like four, sometimes five. Um, but also sometimes I just have one or two. But I would say like max that I'll hold in one night. Um, yeah, so I'd say like it's very easy to get overwhelmed if you start putting a ton of alerts on all these different tickers and you take every single play. So basically, what I always tell people is, of course, you're watch listing 10 tickers does not mean you have to force a trade on any of them. Just, you know, wait for the ones that are very good quality and only take those. And naturally, you should sort of filter down the amount of trades you take. Like if you take higher quality ones, it'll like the amount that you're of positions that you're in will just naturally decrease, which is fine, right? Because we need to just make sure we're consistent and finding good setups, and then later we can start sizing up as needed. Um, yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Chamber of X. Yeah, no problem. And honestly, like I'm a bit more lenient with that. I think Glitch, I think one time he mentioned he doesn't ever go over three or four positions, and that's including SPX. So he's only playing like two or three swings, if my memory is correct. Um, yeah, so hopefully that helps. Any other questions? I might cut this one early just because I have a one-on-one in 10 minutes and I'm crazy tired. So I might rest for 10 minutes before I take that next call. Is there any other questions? Anything else I can go over for today? I know it's a bit shorter than usual, but so yeah, I'm not going to scan myself for tickers. Yeah, 10-minute nap and then a couple meetings and then I'll just crash. I'm running on like half an hour of sleep the past. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Thanks everyone for joining, requesting tickers. Hopefully it was useful and yeah, the YouTube actually worked. Oh, I'm just not seeing YouTube. Oh, okay. If anyone's still on YouTube, I'll finish those up. So actually, let me do the YouTube tickers. So we go to, oh shoot, who's not muted? Oh, CGG's in here. How's it going, man? Um, so yeah, let me do these reschedule. No, I'm out of town next few days, so I need to make sure I'm doing just finishing up these last few one-on-ones. Okay, so hopefully whoever's on YouTube is still watching. I forgot I have that chat as well. So Aurelius, I don't know for what ticker that question was, so just ask again if you're still here. Rigetti on Elfree. Yeah, let me take a look at that. Um, so I think Rigetti did reject the 60 node. I don't think we ever tapped it. We hit like 59. Um, but we mostly recovered towards 55. So honestly, I think Rigetti with just the insane rip it's been on, I would hesitate to short it. Um, but yeah, I mean, like the 60 node is very strong, but just recognize that that 43 node is really, we like price just came from that area. So those nodes, as we've pumped throughout the week, those nodes have shrank a lot, right? So they'll just continuously have less and less pull throughout the week. Hopefully that is clear on Elfree. Ramis, yeah, Uber, I already looked at. I don't know if you joined or not. I think with Uber, what had I said? Yeah, I think Uber, this 105 node is like very unlikely to hit just because this 100 this 100 level is quite strong on the chart, as well as on the maps. So for Uber, I'd probably be looking for either another tap of 93-ish for a bounce upwards. Um, yeah, I mean, or I guess in theory you could also do the opposite, like if we tap the upside, play downside, but yeah, see your point there. Yeah, so Uber, like we have, I guess I probably wouldn't play any of these intermediate notes. I'd only wait for the extreme upside or downside. Okay. Yeah, GE Vernova. This is this is where I work actually. Um, Let me see here. Vernova's been consolidating for a while actually. Let me think here. I have no idea how these options move. I probably wouldn't play GE Vernova unless we sweep like 600. Then I'd be interested, but it looks like we just swept 650. Um, so like we swept this level right here. So yeah, it looks like we swept the 650 large node, 660 secondary node, and just rejected extremely strong down to 620. Um, so yeah, it looks like the stock maybe is on the way. Looks like we're losing a lot of volume here, and maybe we're on the way to 600. So you can try the bounce there, but yeah, I guess the clean play on Vernova was definitely that 650, 660 sweep towards upside. Sat Satish, so stocks like Booking where liquidity is low. Yeah, Frank, Vernova would have been a pretty good short. I didn't even notice it. Um, wow, what Booking is $5,000? Um, Satish, yeah, so I guess one, I would never play Booking just due to price. Two, when you're dealing with low liquidity tickers, you have a couple options. So one, you can buy, there's certain strike prices that will naturally have higher volume than others. So just any number that's divisible by 5 or divisible by 10, those strikes will have higher volume. So sometimes the ticker overall may have low volume, but there are a few tickers or a few strikes that have more volume than others. So you can use that to guide yourself. The other thing I'll say is never market order if you're playing a low volume ticker, and always be super aggressive on the fills, right? So like if you're looking at price on Webull or Robinhood or whatever, and you're seeing price says, the mark or the last contract sold or bought was at $50, let's say. just lowball it, right? Just lowball it down to 40, down to 30. Like you can get pretty aggressive with the lowballs. And a lot of times with these lower tickers, you can just, you set that order, like just put your phone away. Sometimes you get lucky, right? And you get a very, very good fill. But yeah, if you're just getting an average fill, you're just gonna lose out so much because a lot of times the prices on them fluctuate like crazy. Hopefully that makes sense, Satish on YouTube. Okay. Uh, yeah, it's 11:58. I'm gonna cut it here just because I have a one-on-one coming up. But thanks everyone for joining. If there's any setup that you want me to go over or any question you have for me, you can send to me in the private message. Or if you guys are on YouTube, I guess you can just leave it in the comments. Um, yeah, either way works. And then moose skin. Uh, now we're probably fine. I think there's very few people left here for the stream, so I think we're probably done for charting today. Either way, I think this week, especially with OPEX coming on Friday, I would recommend everyone play either very light size or just don't trade at all on Friday. So tomorrow may be sort of the last day, the last valid day to trade. Okay, but yeah, uh, I think that'll be it for now. I know it's a bit shorter than usual, but next week should be a normal stream. I'll start it on time. Okay, thanks everyone. Appreciate everyone joining. Have a good night.
Hey Nico, do you want to just do the one-on-one right here instead of Zoom?